everybody. Welcome to Window to Hollywood. I'm Joseph Pearlman. This is Eugene Nomura. We are We're very excited to welcome special guest producer Ko Mori. Ko, thank you for hanging out with us today.
How are you, Joseph?
Good, doing great. I did another class last night, so I had a good night's sleep, and it was a lot of fun.
It was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great guest though.
How many people came on?
100.
We had 100 again. Yeah, it's amazing. We've had about 100 every week, and then some really special guests, some friends of Eugene, some producers and actors, and it was another really fun night. And every Thursday we're doing it, and since everything's gone online, it's amazing, like the people from all over the world that are coming in every week. So it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of good energy. Good people. Yeah.
No, nice. Yeah. I got the. Was that the one that I came to watch? Was that the first one, or you've been doing that for a while over Zoom?
Yeah, I've been doing it. Well, via Zoom. The class has been going for maybe a couple months or so since the pandemic, but I've been teaching via Zoom for years with actors I worked with actors on set and doing classes, but now we just brought everything onto Zoom, and I've been teaching this master class now for maybe 15 years or something, and so it's the first time we have it on Zoom, and it's just really worked. It's been seamless, and I like being able to, it's easier to bring people to watch. It's easier for the actors to watch themselves the way that the producers are watching them. And I think it's great. I don't miss anything about the in-person, honestly. I love it. Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it, and it was, pretty cool experience for me to participate too,
Yeah, thank you. I think it's fun that the people watching, I try to make it an active experience, Ko, where like I want everybody to kind of be a part of it, not just watching, and so I'm glad it felt like that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was that, what I didn't know, or actually I had no idea what was going to happen, right? So, and then, I've been to some acting classes in the past, just physically before, right? And then basically all the students will basically participate with what's going on or take turns, but then this time, what was interesting was that you pretty much focus on specific actors, for the entire time, so that was like, I thought, before I came to watch, I thought that pretty much everyone who's on Zoom might be pulled into this and then participate one way or another. So like, that was so like, I was like kind of expecting, as well as I didn't think that I would be, because I was one of the observers or whatever it's called. But then I thought that more actors will be participating, and then there was a chance, because Eugene's involved, there was a chance that this is Ko Mori, I think he can do it, and then somehow I get pulled in. So like, I was kind of like in my head, okay, what's gonna happen with
that? That's exciting and nerve-wracking. Yeah, with the classes, I like to have a small working section. I call it Orchestra, and these are the actors who are, I like to do the classes like a private coaching in preparation for shooting, not like an acting. I like to practice how we play, and a lot of acting classes, I feel like, do it like in an academic type of way, and I like to do it the way the actors are coming in when they have a role that they're going to shoot, or they have an audition. They don't always get to rehearse. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I like to get real about the way that we train for it. And then, so there's a small group who are presenting work. And then there are people at the studio who can watch all the classes. We call Orchestra Balcony. And then we have all the wonderful people watching from all over the world every week. And that's the exciting thing about doing it online, is that before it was just people that were in Los Angeles, and now it's like I think you were last week, there was a guy from the West Indies who was there, Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, I would, also that I was wondering, that was probably, that the one that I watched, probably one way of doing that for you guys, and I wonder each week you guys have a different themes or the way you do stuff, So I would be very interested in checking out the next one too.
You are
Sure.
You are very welcome to do it. Yeah, it's always different. I think in terms of a theme, what's neat is that if it's possible to kind of have a breakthrough on that one piece, they'll bring in another piece the next week. So next week they're going to work on a different style. They might do comedy one week, drama the next week. And what's so fun too is that sometimes in the classes, and Eugene, I think you've seen this, but I'll work with the actors because I work with a lot of people who are not actors, like some world leader types. So how do you go into a room? How do you walk in a room and be engaging? Somebody who's instantly, memorable, walking in a room as yourself before you start acting. And so we'll work on that stuff as well too. So that's always fun. Or sometimes they'll bring in a musical performance or a comedy, and I'll help them with the performance aspect of that. So it's always different. And fun.
So next time we will pull you in.
Hey, I'll pull you in.
I act like I act like I'm not there at the moment. Maybe Ko's not there, No, I'm actually no, I'm kidding.
No, but I personally think it'd be really good for directors and producers, not just actors, to actually try getting coached for one session, because I think that opens up a whole different. It opens up different windows inside you as a producer and as a human being.
No, I agree for that 100%. Yes, but then because I was actually also considering that maybe because Eugene was also mentioning to me too, before this whole thing or a little while ago, or I was personally also thinking that it would be good to take some classes too, so that I understand deeper into the acting too, right? So I was already thinking about that, but then I never expected that my first experience would be with Zoom. You know what I'm saying? So that would be So that's the thing, that I would hesitate a little bit, But then again, But
it's good to, wasn't it a whole different, from what you expected? When I said it's on Zoom, and you're like, on Zoom, okay. Right. And then you came, and then you saw the people, and you saw how the scenes go, and what was your honest feeling about it? Did it move you? Did it make you want to jump into it?
No, actually, it was simply interesting, and just like I said, I guess. Whether it was Zoom or not, it would be the same procedure, I assume. But the way you, Joseph, did work with the actors and, with the different tone. Hey, especially when you asked what was her name, Kelly? Or was Kelly, remember? And then she was doing one thing, and then, you asked her, did you feel comfortable with that? And then she said, no, actually I didn't, how about this and this and that? And she did the different way, and she... I could see that she felt much comfortable, and she did say that no, I totally feel comfortable with this. And then somehow I could see the change, I could see the difference, and then that was almost like I don't know. It was quite not only interesting, but she could do all that different stuff with one scene, it's it's pretty much a directing too, and then I would like to see that on set too, stuff like that. So it gave me a lot of ideas.
Good.
Yeah, that's great.
I always think of it in terms of, I try to figure out what's dangerous acting. What is dangerous? What is something that, the audience is breathing heavily. It's unexpected. It's something that nobody has seen. Now, my mentor years ago was an actor named Jeff Corey. He was in all of the John Wayne movies. He was in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid as an actor. And
this is my one of favorites, yeah.
He played the sheriff, where he said, all right, tie me up, make it look like tie me up, but you guys are going to die, and you're going to die bloody. But he was their friend. And he was an acting teacher, and he was so special. He was blacklisted during the blacklist, and when he came back to Los Angeles, he started an acting class in Malibu above his garage in a studio, and he worked with a young James Dean for Rebel Without a Cause, and he coached Jack Nicholson and worked with Steven Spielberg, studied with him to learn how to work with actors, and Sean Penn, and on and on and on, Robin Williams and Cher, and he worked with John F. Kennedy on speaking. And this was a guy who I was lucky enough to get into his class after my conservatory training at New York University in London, and it was amazing that in one session he was able to like take a screwdriver and just help an actor tighten a performance up in a similar way, and it blew me away because it would take a lot longer in the conservatory to do that. And so I started to learn from that. I mean, it was the thing that really influenced me. And he came from a Michael Chekhov kind of a background. Now, I don't consider what I'm doing to be directly any one technique, but it's so exciting to think about once you solve the problem of how to do the scene, that a lot of training is coming at it from like this dimension of like, okay, what is the text doing? What is the text doing? But in life, we have a whole world of what we mean and what we feel, and it's different than what we're saying. And so if you can sometimes go against the grain, it's dangerous. It's it's how Joaquin Phoenix works and Daniel Day-Lewis, and it's so exciting. I love it, and I think the actors connect with it as well too. And I'm glad that you were able to see that transformation as well.
Totally, yeah, quite impressive as well. And then I would be also again. Because you worked the last, still talking about the last session, worked with the specific actors there, and those are brilliant. They I like them, all of them.
Great.
But then also at the same time, that worked out great. But at the same time, I was interested in seeing more actors, to work with you too, So that's why, like, I want to see the next time too, the next session. Yeah.
You are very welcome. We work with some different actors every week. So we had different actors last night. Sometimes actors are working. Sometimes they just need a break these days, and then I'll bring some new actors in. And I teach 3 classes a week. One of them is an afternoon class on Wednesday afternoon, and they're all different actors. So yeah, I would love to. You are welcome to come to. Absolutely come and watch other actors. Just let me know. Next Thursday will be fun. The thing that I was asking the actor is that, now I know when I'm working on set, we're working on the support of a director, and we're trying to do that, but was it fun? Did it feel fun? And I want the actors to know the work was great because they know how it felt. And so that's what I was asking her, did it feel fun? I think a lot of actors, especially in Hollywood in the US, they are so concerned with trying to please other people that they don't make brave choices. They're afraid.
Yeah, I hear you. And then also actually that probably, I don't know what stage you're talking about. Is that for the audition stage or is that on set? But pretty much for me, once the actors get involved with the actual production, then it would be the communication between actually the director and also the actors. And then the ones that I've worked with, the directors that I've worked with, they always, of course, pretty much worked up with the actors, try to communicate, to convey his vision to his or her vision to the actors, and it seems like it's working out great. But some of them, I don't know, even if they would be hesitant to jump into something else, depending on the director, director can make them feel comfortable too. So I have probably a different perspective on that too. But
how as a producer, how like tight do you work with your director? Like, do you talk about?
Yeah, I actually, I always work with the directors pretty closely, but the more with the development and more with the pre-production. Once the actual, shoot starts, then I wouldn't get much, not as involved as I would for the, before we shoot.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
So, is there like a specific, like, up to now with all your experiences with producing, like, a Japanese film? You produce a Japanese film. You're producing U.S. films, and like working with like an American director, and then working with a Japanese director. What are like the differences that you feel? Like communication wise, or the way they direct things. I mean, obviously, depending on the director, they all direct a film in a different way. But are there specific differences?
In terms of, I mean, the way they work, actually, there are some cultural differences, But then, the way the directors work with the actors, that's a different question, Because, I not only acting or the actual, for me as a producer, we have a lot of different stuff that we have to discuss,
Yes.
between director and myself, or the producers, the other producers too. So there are so many, different type of discussions we take, and then again, there will be some cultural differences there, so that we always come to the point where that how do we figure this out, like this is different, or the directors feel different, because I would be more American way than the Japanese way, so that they would go like, why do we have to do it this way, as opposed to this way. So that happens all the time. But again, in terms of the directors and actors relationship, I think it can, for me, I didn't see a huge difference. It's more a directors themselves than cultural differences. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because some directors, regardless whether they're from here or from Japan, they're closer to the actors. Some of them are closer to the actors. They work pretty closely with the actors. Whereas some directors, can be a little, step back, but those are kind of depending on the directors for me,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think with actors too is that directors don't get involved with a lot of actors sometimes. So the actors, I really want them to be able to bring a lot to the table, and with the work is to be able to go in any direction after they've done the work. And obviously my number one goal when I'm working with someone is I want to support your vision. I'm trying to support the director producer's vision. And sometimes I always tell the actors, people don't always know what they want until you show it to them. Sometimes, when the actors are doing this work and they get the job, the producers will typically say, wow, thank you for being the only one willing to take a risk, or it wasn't at all what we were looking for, it was better. Or a writer will say, whoa, I never knew the script was that interesting until the actor kind of opened it up a little bit. So I don't want them to do something that's not there, but it's, trying to take some risks. I love that story of Joaquin Phoenix, and Joaquin Phoenix works this way as well, and said that when he was preparing for Joker, did you see Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was preparing for Joker, he had an idea of what it was going to be, like in his head. And I think a lot of folks have ideas of it, but when they got to set, they wasted a couple weeks of shooting because the idea didn't match the experience. And that's one of the things that and again, these are opinions that I have based on, working with folks, but you need to have the experience versus to have an idea for the actors. And so the work I'm trying to do is to bring it up through imagination to become experience, to try to get them to have an experience during the work instead of just working off of ideas. But as they get closer to production, I'm definitely on the support of people like you and the directors trying to get the actors closer. I was working on the Ridley Scott movie, Earthquake Bird, where it was, okay, we had these director notes. The director, Wash Westmoreland, was a little bit more of this, a little bit less of this. And so then that's also what I do as well, too, is to support the director.
Because I think, like not all films have like an acting coach, or like in Japan, we don't have like an on-set acting coach. I've never seen anybody in Japan. So it might be an actor that would kind of help, or like another producer or somebody else that would kind of jump in to make things work. But it's an interesting thing because, depending on the set and depending on the director, there should be, because there's more great performances you could pull out of an actor, you know, depending. So and then I think it's like a whole new thing for Japan. I mean, this is just specifically about Japan, but something like that would be interesting depending on the type of project, you know.
We have a lot of writer, director, producers coming to, you know, be a part of the work, whether they're acting or not. They're learning how to, you know, better work with the actors. Ko, I was going to ask you a question. What is great? You know, we're not just talking about performance, but what is great performance to you? What do you love? What's exciting for you? What's fun for you when you're watching performance, or just, you know, what's fun for you in general? What gets you up in the morning, gets you excited about what you do, and then also with regards to the acting.
Oh, I see. Okay. I mean, okay. So one is a general question, and the other one is more specifically about acting, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I try to, you know, like for me, the daily life, you know, everyday life, you know, what's important? Actually, that is a great question, because, you know, like that's something that I've been working on, especially these days, where that I try to keep up my motivation high. You know, I normally have my motivations always up high. You know, so like I get excited every morning. I try to be that way regardless. You know, so that I can get things done. Not only that I can get things done, but that I can, you know, pull something from here to up here, you know, on a daily basis, as I, you know, have a few projects going on, you know, time by time. And, you know, of course, for those projects, you know, I need to put more energy into it, right, to move those forward, so that, you know, I myself need to be excited about it, and then also motivated about it. So I try to keep up my motivation, you know, high all the time, but sometimes it's difficult because, you know, some days are not as good as, you know, any other day. I mean, you know, right? So like you, as a person, you know, I try, you know, but you know, I generally love what I do, you know. So I don't know, like just try to think that for instance, like, you know, let's say there's a script that I love, and then I try to develop that. And then each time I see the steps, you know, for instance, like attaching somebody, or, you know, great rewriting, you know, after a while, or, you know, whatever I see, or some people are interested, like either agents, actors, or, you know, the studios or financiers, you know, when you get that positive feel, you know, to any of my project, I get excited, you know, like, okay, so it's, you know, so, you know, the bottom line, you know, I'm trying to keep up my motivation, you know, and then I put my specific focus on that too, you know, yeah, every morning, you know. And also the actors, I mean, I don't know, I get, you know, like we, you know, for us, we know the script very well, you know, because, you know, you get involved with the rewrites and all that stuff too, and then discussion with the directors. And so basically it's all about the script that you have, you know, and then, you know, character breakdown, we know that, like we know who these characters are, you know, we discuss all the time, you know. So when it comes to the casting, the same thing, right? So like we need this type of, you know, actors for this, you know. Well, wait a minute, you know, she's more like this type of person because she reacts on this is great. So like we keep discussing all these, you know, characters, so that we feel like, you know, me as a producer or fellow producers or the you know, directors I work with, we are always more like on the same page, you know, in terms of who we are looking for, you know, and what we want from these characters to the movies, you know, that we produce, right? But then when we see more like, sometimes the actors are amazing in a way where the on set or the dailies that I, you know, see, you know, sometimes is quite a surprise, you know,
Yeah.
we never thought that this scene would be this way, you know. But then, you know,
That's
these
great.
actors, acting like this, and now seems like better, you know. Like that was not something we tried to pull off, but somehow this is totally cool, you know. And then also,
That's the magic.
that's the
Yeah.
magic. But then also, the editing is super important to see the great acting too, you know,
Right.
So you know, on set, some directors, you know, they even, let's say, some funny scene that we're shooting, let's say, you know, but then some directors, they try to be, of course, funny on that scene, but then, you know, they sometimes try to do a different stuff. Even though it's a funny scene, they try to make it a little more, you know, opposite, you know, to funny, to see what happens, because you never know at the editing stage, you know, how that's gonna work out, right? So at the end of the day, I mean, you know, when you see the editing and then, you know, see the different stuff, then you still feel the, you know, sometimes, wow, you know, these actors are great. But then at the end of the day, it's the work with the director, and I don't know, like this. You see a lot of magic, you know, with actors.
Yeah, but it's so many pieces that go into it that are all so important as well too. It's this symphony. Yeah.
Like when you produce, do you usually come up with ideas? Do you read it in a book? Or do people come to you with ideas? I mean, probably all of that. But what's the main, when you develop a picture, a film, what are the main things you concentrate on in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, of course, for me, it's all about the first instinct. You know, when I read the script or when I hear the ideas, you know, whether I want to move forward or not, you know, it's all about the instinct, you know. I already see some of the project, I already see also with this project, what's going to happen, who would be a great director, or who would be interested in this, you know, among the people that I know of, or, you know, the information that I have, you know, or what would be the platforms. I wouldn't say platforms, like the you know, like the film festivals, or, you know, like, you know, I could, one way or another, when I see the project and I have that instinct going on, then I could see the vision of where this project can go, you know. So that gives me excitement of, okay, so what's next? I love to work on this and proceed with this project and stuff like that, you know.
No, it's interesting because you're one of the few producers that actually produce films, and then you also distribute Japanese animation in movie theaters in the US. You know, so you have a distribution side of you, you know, choosing which Japanese animations would work for the US specifically. And then, so you know the markets, the Cannes, Toronto Film Festival, all those, you know, Montreal and all that stuff. You know, that side of the business as well. So it's like you know how to sell the stuff. And then you know what you're going to produce is sellable, you know. And then there's probably at times when you're interested in a project, you know, maybe more of a passion project that might not be sellable, but is so good you think it'll work at the end of the day. You know what I mean? What makes you motivated for those films? Is that a hard question? Because like,
Can you ask me in a different way, please?
It's interesting because there's obviously the business side of things, but everything's not always business, like geared just for business.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, you know, like when you, one of the hardest part of filmmaking, as you guys probably know, is to raise the finance, you know, and then that is very much related to what kind of commercial elements you have, you know. Of course, the film festivals are, you know, I love film festivals, you know, like I feel like that's the sort of film festivals are the places that you feel like some people are really giving you the opinions and more like, great film you have, stuff like that. And you finally feel like I did it, So I love that. But, the finance part is always difficult. And of course, like people need to make money, of your,
Yes. It is a business.
Yeah, it is a business. So that's the thing, So I don't know if that it gives you any answers or whatever,
So it's always that balancing out, yeah. Like there, like maybe this character, if like let's say I knew some actor but he's not famous at all, no credits, he was awesome in one film, he would be perfect for this role. But usually, sometimes, if by any chance he gets very lucky, he'll get it. But usually somebody with a name would come in because of the financing. But it's always that balance, no?
Yeah, always, and then but then like just so you know, the named actors or known actors are amazing in a way where that you get attentions, people will be interested already, like if you attach somebody that the financiers or distributors or even film festivals as well,
Right.
like and also just the if you have somebody that is well known, then somehow people get it, and the people are interested in getting involved one way or another too. I'm not only saying the financiers or the distributors, but also on the production side too. Like people are, I wouldn't say more open, but then somehow people are, people find it probably more interesting.
Yeah, like good crew and stuff, they would do it for, like, let's say the budget is a limited amount, but it's these people, they would want to work together.
Yeah, exactly. So I say more momentums, more hypes that you get. It's not that. I love working with the good actors regardless. So it's a different thing. But what I'm saying is that it's always amazing how named actors can bring to you. You'll see the differences. And it's always amazing.
And then it's and then it's always the balancing. So like, let's say you have 5, or let's say you have 3 well-known actors, and then you have the 4th, 5th actor in the film that's not that well-known. But if the film is a hit, they become a hit too. So then they become the new names as well. So there's always a chance,
Totally. Yeah. That's the dream of the producers and directors too. Like you want to find the new actors that you could bring to the next stage, and somehow those actors will become a star, and those actors would probably say down the road somewhere that, hey, I worked on that film and that was my turning point. That's like the biggest. Yes, right?
Yes.
So, the same as directors too, for producers, like the directors that you think that is talented, but they're not discovered yet. And then somehow you work with them, and then if that becomes the big step, or that film itself becomes the big thing, then that's like, as a producer, that's a great moment too, So I always want to do that, but again, those are very, very difficult and risky involved too, just so you know, right? So that's the balance too, Yeah.
I have a question, Ko, about where we're at now. Where do you? There was a person who I like, Simon Sinek. He's a speaker in Silicon Valley and an author, and he said, where we're at right now, as a global community is about what will we be, what could we be, not how do we preserve everything we once had. What do you think about where we're going or where this industry is going or what could be? I know there's a lot of things we don't want right now, but where do you think improvements could be made, or where do you think we've come through, and where do you think we're going, and is it going to make things easier or harder?
Are you talking about this specific situation right now with the COVID?
I'm talking about that, but specifically what it's done to everybody and how it's shifted sort of the mindset. So Simon Sinek talks about this infinite mindset, is that we could have this infinite mindset. Like a lot of people, they don't, they hear Zoom or you're going to do online classes, and they have an idea about it. A lot of people do. And then you see it, and it's just, there's a whole other thing going on. So it's not just about that, but because of the COVID, where do you think this has pushed the industry? And do you think it's potentially a positive thing?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it's positive.
Right.
And of course there are so many different layers there, to discuss about this, because simply as everyone knows, the actual theaters, cinema, where would it be after all this?
Right.
People come back to the theaters or not? I hope we wouldn't be losing that, But then it's not us to decide; it's the audience to decide, right? Whether they want to be in a packed theater, anymore or not, you and I, we support the business, we support the industry, so that we enjoy go to the theater, cinema to watch the movies, that's what we do, or we support that idea, but then we are not the only audience, so right, so where would they be, after all this? And I'm pretty sure that people find it more comfortable with watching, the movies or the TV shows on your own screen, and
Exactly.
So that is one question, but then again, the business wise, I think regardless, as the as far as I know, this AMC, and Universal back and forth, was created because Universal said that they made a great business, out of which one was that, the animation that they're supposed to be releasing in theater, but instead they went on a VOD and they made a great profit out of it, and they made a clear statement on Wall Street Journal, and that was the trigger of this AMC going like Universal Studios, we are not going to
right now.
Show your movies anymore in theaters, our theaters at AMC. But as that shows, or generally speaking, my partners on the platforms and VODs, they say that they're up at least 40% before this whole thing happened. So that means that their business is going really well. And then also the fact that somehow the Netflix stocks exceeded or surpassed the Exxon's, which is the oil company, one of the major oil companies. That surprised me too, because now that's the dynamic of that gives me the idea of like this, world just gives us the idea, more ideas of VOD, staying home, watching the movies and TV shows on TV, so
Exactly.
I think business wise, the people are, it's still there and it's growing. That's how I see it. But then overall view of where we stand, I don't know what's gonna happen next, to be honest.
That's a hard one, I don't think anybody does.
This morning there was this great kind of discussions, on Zoom, with the do you know the Fantastic Film Festival World, like the genre film festival? There are so many genre film festivals out there, including
Fantastic Film Festival.
Yeah,
so
Fantastic
it's like genre films.
Yeah, genre
horror
films. Yeah, horror films and stuff.
I don't know that.
the key
like
people,
Montreal and stuff like that.
Okay.
yeah, the key people, you know, the key people of that world, you know, did the Zoom sort of discussions this morning, you know. Some of them were in Europe, some of them in Asia, you know, some of them are in North America, you know. That was really also they are discussing about this, you know, what's gonna happen, what's going on right now, and what's gonna happen after this whole, you know, pandemic situations, and you know, like they still try to see where it lands, and you know, because even the film festivals, right? I mean, right now there's no film festivals physically going on, zero almost, right? As far as I know, I think it's zero, you know. But then some of them are trying to do it virtually too, you know. And what does that mean, you know? And then what does that mean to the producers, sales agent, distributors, and audience, you know? Each one's got a different perspective, you know. For instance, actually, this was very interesting that I heard this morning with that is that one of the festivals, I forgot exactly which festival it was, teamed up with Amazon, you know, in terms of this virtual screenings, okay, and then for the festival, okay, but then somehow this virtual screenings can be reached out to, you know, to the entire world, you know, whereas at the film festivals normally it's only to the audience who come to the festival, right? But now to the entire world. And Amazon, of course, wouldn't give any fee to anybody, okay? So they show them the brand new movies that's never been distributed, you know, basically never been distributed to the entire world for certain, you know, term, like, you know, time, right? So that could actually ruin the whole business of the movies, okay?
Totally.
Right? But then again, you know, some indie filmmakers might be pleased because more people can be reachable to their movies that they worked on, you know, like the directors or creators, okay? So, you know, that was a very interesting sort of perspective, you know?
Yeah. Because because I think the main thing that, I mean, you know, like the AMCs of the world, and then, you know, the platform people, the TV stuff, we should all kind of think together in a meeting, not, you know, because, like, yes, movie theaters are wonderful. I love movie theaters. Going alone, I used to go alone at night and just, you know, get surrounded by the sound, surrounded by the environment, and really just place myself in the film, kind of, you know. So I love movie theaters, but it's like, because of this now, and then they're still fighting about this and this and this, but it's all about, let's give the audience a good time. Let's, you know, and that's somewhere that we should, I mean, I don't know how it's going to end up, but, you know, we should all have a discussion about that and then try to make it work, and even maybe have a Zoom meeting with them and the audience.
Right.
That are interested in going to films, you know, watch films and stuff like that. And there's so much stuff to think about.
I mean, I just have a thought about, I mean, because we literally have hundreds of people coming every week to watch this work and get completely distracted by it and involved. And now we can open it up to the whole world. But the thing is, it might be a crazy sounding question, but what do you think, Ko? What do you think, Eugene? What do you think about content delivered and shot, created like this on a platform like Zoom? You know, at least temporary. Do you think that could be viable? What would you think about storytelling? I was talking with a writer, producer, director friend, Christopher Kubasik, recently, who created one of the first big hit streaming shows on Hulu called The Booth at the End. And it is a writing and acting heavy show where it's a booth, and one person, Xander Berkeley, plays this character who's like the devil, who grants anybody's wish, but then they have to come back and tell him about it. They have to do something, come back and tell him about it, but then they get their wish to come true. Ko, what do you think about content? Is it just crazy thinking to you to have content delivered like this, that's created like this, with acting and writing that is so compelling that people lose themselves. I don't know. What do you think about that? I know it's no production value, basically. There's no production value.
So you're specifically talking about the something like the content on created by or with Zoom. Purely acting, writing heavy. Like I've looked into the. Sorry to interrupt you, Eugene, but I've looked into that because some of the right now, because I work with, I am based in LA, work with, with American, companies here. But then also, as I'm from Japan, I also, work with Japanese people too, in a way where that right now, I'm pretty involved with, I work with, some of the broadcasts in Japan too, where that that in Japan there's supposed to be there was supposed to be Olympics this year in this summer.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But it's been of course postponed. I don't think it's canceled. They postponed. That's a whole thing too, I think.
Right.
But but postponed, right? And then now what happens to the TV broadcasts, is the programming. Okay, they lose. They had the whole block of time for Olympics, but now it's all gone.
Right.
So they need to fill that. Of course, one way to do it is to re-show the old contents. To that, but then also they're still looking for some new ones. But then the new ones cannot be created quickly because of the whole lockdown situation, right? So I've been asked by quite a few of them, is there any way to create something interesting by Zoom?
Yes.
So I did some research on it.
Okay, interesting. I can't wait to hear about this. Okay, because it feels like I'm asking you that producing this beautiful content. It's a crazy question to ask, but so what did you find in that?
Yes, so there are. Of course, there are some limited things you can do with Zoom, right? But then I found some quite a good short contents, that amaze me. I mean, again, we are talking like this, and this doesn't change. Okay, whether you're acting or not, what you see on the screen, you're talking right there. I'm talking right here. Eugene is talking right there. This is what they see. Okay.
Yes.
Because on Zoom, right? So that rather be like you need to be a regular person because it's kind of weird that big actors, come on Zoom and hey. Stephanie, I'm exhausted. That's weird too, right? So like it's always like Zoom is like people drinks over Zoom right now, so like that need to be that I think but so what we need to create is what's the story behind that, what's gonna happen while we are talking, so like and then there are some great stuff that I found, but then again I found what's interesting with the Zoom is I don't know if the fact that known actors on a Zoom content make a huge difference rather than that's interesting. Yeah, the Zoom. Okay, what I found, just very honestly, I've seen some of the Zoom drama that was created by professional, big actors in Japan. Okay, but then,
taped, not live though, right? Taped.
Yeah, taped, exactly.
Okay, good.
Taped,
I saw that too.
Taped, yeah, but that was that didn't quite work. Okay. For me,
Didn't work.
But then, some of the indie stuff that I found, when I was researching is even more interesting. But then none of the actors, of course, like zero actors are well known. But then the creators did a great job, on that.
Is that the one you sent me?
One of them is the one that I sent you.
That was awesome.
That was awesome, right? Yeah.
It was just like the regular guys like talking on Zoom.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh wait, I hear this noise.
My whole point, I think, is that it takes a different skill to deliver something interesting over a Zoom setup.
Yeah. Like useful, a different skill. Yeah, I'm just sort of thinking, because it is thinking about this infinite mindset and like being infinitely more creative and yeah. So just a question I had about what the viability of it was, whether if it was shot the way that we're shooting right now with additional cameras, and could it be compelling and useful? I mean, could it be something that puts people's eyes on it and gets them to pay for it? And yeah.
No, but then it's possible. Like if you set it up that way, it's really like a maybe like a live show. But if you record that, that becomes not a live show. But then later people can watch it. Yeah. But if you I mean, if it's very possible. If your show or something that let's say you create, right? If that is something that people are interested in checking out, and then I mean, at this very point, the people cannot go out. People are always online, you know?
Right.
So people always, like the information that you get is by Facebook or, you know, your own system of social media.
Yes.
So that once you get into that sort of loop of the, you know, the circle, you know, people find you, you know, right? And then if it becomes something that people go like, wow, this is interesting, you should check it out, you know, then that goes from there to everywhere.
Right.
And then I think you have more opportunity that way than ever right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, whether it's commercially, you know, financed and well done or not, you know, it doesn't matter, you know. I think if it's something that people are interested in, then definitely that would work out. That's how it is.
I was just sort of thinking about it with regards to the work, because you saw one set of actors when you came to watch a week ago, but it's like every week there are these different actors and they're so incredible, and some of them are they're in some of the biggest shows. We have an actor who's one of the regulars in Last Kingdom, and he gets up there and it is just like, it's jaw-dropping. You know, I'm not thinking about it in terms of live theater, but I'm thinking in terms of it's grabbing people, because the performances are so rich and so interesting, and people are forgetting where they're at. They're forgetting they're on Zoom and they're so absorbed in it. And I'm just thinking, man, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question either. But there's got to be something really fun that's going to connect. So it's things I'm thinking about. I don't have the answers.
There's probably you know, writers on the globe that are writing it right now. There's a few that they're shooting. I actually have received a script and an offer to do one of those. So I have to really read it.
That's exciting.
You know, but it's. And then I guess all the actors, whoever it is, have to get ready, you know, if wardrobe or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then try to shoot it. But you know, it's an interesting time.
It is
for
an
everybody.
interesting time.
It is. For instance, like you know, just like Eugene said, I do you know, Japanese anime distribution as well, right? And then we have two titles that got into this situation, so that, you know, especially the one of them was in the middle of a theatrical release, but got got canceled, you know. So, but then again, the theaters, they all need to, you know, they're pretty much forced to shut down, you know, all the, you know, the physical locations. So you know, then each theater, of course, you know, they're not just waiting around, but they decided to somehow team up with the distributors and try to do the virtual cinema, what it's called. Okay. What's, you know, for me, okay, for us, these two titles are never being released on VODs or DVDs or Blu-rays or TVs, right? So, you know, for the moment, theaters were the only way for people the audience to watch. Okay, but then you can't. The theaters are, you know, are down right now, so that we decided to work together where that they do the virtual cinema to promote to their audience or their group of, you know, the audience, right? And then for us, we promote our loop here, and then we do this virtual cinema, and it's going quite well too. In a way, I mean, you could always do your own too. Like you don't, whether you team up with the theater's cinema or not, we can always do like directly do this to the fans. But then also great to work with the theaters where that there are some audience that we cannot reach, but they can reach.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense for us to work together with them, and then they're doing a great job too.
Yeah.
What happens with like like contracts? This is like the real conversation now. But like contracts, because like you're supposed to have these animations in theaters, and then now, so is it the same like with revenue and stuff? Like it's a virtual cinema, so is it going to be listed as?
Yeah, so the price is the as much as you would pay for the tickets, right? And then they more like it's valid.
It's like
3 days once they once audience buy the tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So it's like a virtual movie theater. So a new movie theater, it's like a sublease.
Yeah. I mean, again, but that is also, that can be considered as a VOD too. It's the same thing. But then again, it's not widely released. It's sort of like an interesting idea. Once it becomes VOD, then probably the price need to go, go down, right?
Yeah.
So I think that might be the thing, or, the virtual cinema, we call that virtual cinema, so that only the cinema related website can be.
Yeah. The authorized virtual cinema.
Yeah.
Theater.
It's a different way of.
Wow, man, what a time.
Exactly. So that being said, anything, Joseph, I think anything, this is new to
everybody
in the world. Yeah. So if you think that you feel like you get the vibe of this might be something that, might work, then you should do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, and I'm just thinking there's something that's really connecting, and it's pulling in people. I'm surprised at the amount of people. I mean, it's great. It's fantastic, but there's something that like people are transfixed by, and they are completely for 3.5. I mean, so I'm trying to figure it out. I don't have all the answers, but I'm very interested in what could be. So yeah, thank you for talking about it.
No. I mean, I'm just saying what I know. That's all.
Yeah.
No, it's great. We should do like a round table with like Ko and then several other producers, and then we all have kind of a discussion about what they're thinking, and we're all probably going to talk about the same thing, but it'll be interesting to kind of figure out, and maybe even talk to somebody like IMAX or something on the distribution, the actual theater side, to see what they have, what their opinions are, and then kind of have a mix match. Would be interesting. Yeah, maybe with a drink.
Yes, sure. That'd be, that'd be great. Yeah.
So with Ko, you've finished shooting several films, and so they're all in post-production. What's up with post-production? Is it are they moving, or are they how?
Yeah, they're moving. I don't think of course there are some slowness there than usual. I think but then again, when I look back, I mean even if it's a regular without this lockdown, some things are slow anyways. So I wonder if there's any at the end of the day, I wonder if there's any difference, to be honest. But things are moving in terms of the post-production. Yes, people are working, and especially like post-production, it's more, most of the things can be done remotely. So I don't feel like we have like feeling right now for the post-production, except that one of the movies that the director I who's in Tokyo, we want him to be in Los Angeles. That would be much easier,
Yeah.
but the travel cannot be done at this moment. But then again, even if he would, at this very moment, he would come to LA, it would be the same thing anyways, because people are not coming out, right? So,
Right.
I go back, like, well, yeah, then it's the same thing.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, everything's on Zoom, no? Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving. Things are moving.
Eugene, it's interesting. We talked about this in one of the earlier shows was about time, and there's something that is, it's really changed the way people think about time, as we all know, doing this sitting here, but yeah, we had a good conversation a couple times ago about just time and how that's changed, and it just feels like there's this sort of endless, sort of more present moment type of thing that people are living in. It was a fun chat we had.
Yes.
About it, and it doesn't matter where a lot of actors are. I think a lot of people are attached to these stories about the industry, especially actors, because there's not a lot of not good information out there, and they have these stories, and the stories typically involve suffering, how it's gonna be painful, and they have to get to Los Angeles or New York, and a lot of that has changed. And I think one of the fun things that I get to have a conversation about with the industry people, it's not just actors, but it's about start to tell a new story. Because a lot of the obstacles they put up are not these real obstacles. There's a lot of fear advice passed back and forth, and the conversation that we're having right now, I think it would be I think it's going to be very exciting for actors to hear these types of conversations we're having, because they think things are supposed to go a certain way, and it doesn't go that way. Everybody's different. There's just a lot of misinformation going on.
There's a lot of Ko, you must be busy as heck right now, right? Being, you have certain projects in development, you have things that will start to move soon, you have post-production, few films in post-production.
Yeah. Yes.
Because a lot of people are just like waiting.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's so much stuff to do. I mean, like I have my friend's daughter. She wants to be a singer, and so I was talking to the mom last night, and she actually came to see the show. I mean, she came to see the class yesterday.
It's kind of like a show.
And then so she, and then I was talking to the mom, and she was like, yeah, but she's doing this, but this is about the only thing she could do, and blah 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 blah. And I was like, wait a second, there's so much more you can do.
Yeah.
But it's, they're blaming this to not do things.
That's you said it really well. That's what's going on. They're blaming this to freeze and wait. Yeah.
Exactly. And those are the guys that won't make anything happen anyway. It's all the people that are trying to make things work. I mean, we have to, because it is what it is, and we have to keep moving.
And there's opportunity too. There's opportunity there. Yeah.
And then for actors that are in overseas, not in LA or not in New York or, in Zambia or wherever, thanks to this Zoom stuff and all the self-tape auditions and a lot of the things that, come up in the classes as well, and, around me too, are, I don't have a visa to work in the U.S.
Right.
So, what should I do? Or, but it's like that it's changed in so many ways. Like, like the Japanese actors that are working here now, like the Ken Watanabes and Hiro Sonadas of the world, they didn't have visas in the beginning. They auditioned in Japan. And then the U.S. company gave them a visa because they want them to work. So now it's more than ever, chances are all over because of this, because no one can move from wherever they are. And then all auditions are most of them are now self-taped, mostly for the U.S. So it's like, I think it's now more than ever we use Zoom or Skype. It was Skype before, but it's, it's the best way to audition some really good actor in Iceland, or we could figure out how to
Sure.
create another network of actors that producers and directors could kind of search into, check into. There's Joseph's group. People can come in and see if there's good actors they want to use, and then So it's, I think in many ways it's becoming a bigger community.
I agree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was fun. You had Eugene Simon last week. He was on Game of Thrones, and he was working on that Netflix piece. He was that was it was like he's in London and he's got a Netflix leading a Netflix thing, and so how else are we going to work on it? And it was awesome, and he was able to send it in, and he read with Kelly, and it was it was fantastic, and it was easier. It was almost easier than in person to sort of put all that kind of stuff together. Mm. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, he was great, I like the collaboration between yourself and him too, like how you guys work together.
Yeah. We've been working for years. He's great. And we had so much fun. We worked on the Genius series together where he played Jeffrey Rush's son, Einstein's son in that. And so we've been collaborating for some years on all the projects he's worked on since Game of Thrones. It's a blast. He is, everybody's so wonderful, but one of Eugene's special skills is being able to, in that I am one who exercise, to go on this sort of big exploration to discover that I am one who is about, let's talk about who you are as a human being, not just the script. So it was a lot of fun. Mm. Thank you again for coming, and thank you so much for, Ko, thank you for doing this with us.
No, thank you. Yeah, this has been fun.
Super fun. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to you getting coached.
Oh, you waited. I don't know if you don't. I think it's fun for the writer, director, producers, folks to come in and just watch and be a part of the work, and not necessarily if you want to, great, and if you don't, it's just to be sort of looking into the process, sort of like we're doing this sort of, coming through the window and being in Hollywood with this thing. And
One thing I realized that, people are doing things on Zoom, nowadays, everyone, that's what we all do, right? But like your class, for instance, let's say without this whole pandemic and without the Zoom world, you probably do this, like you have a physical class, correct?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So people come, let's say every week or whatever, like whenever, come to your place and then, do this together, correct? And then that is correct. Like how I imagine, or, at least I've been to some of the classes to see, it's always the same thing, okay? But that's what I imagine. But then somehow, magically, just like you guys already said, but anybody from anywhere could join your show, or your class, like Japan, Korea, or Europe, wherever, right?
Yeah, right.
That is actually, okay, for instance, Eugene can tell more, but, the actors in Japan, they want to come to Los Angeles to take those classes because they can't take those in Japan. But now somehow magically, they can see these classes on time on Zoom, what you do, what you work with actors, or, the collaborations and everything.
Sure.
I think that opens up a lot of doors, to be honest. Actually, enormous opportunities are there for people.
I completely agree.
Yes.
Enormous, like there are many, like so many actors, and maybe like, try to be actors, someday. They want to learn, what's going on in Hollywood, what's the acting style in Hollywood, what are the classes in Los Angeles, right?
Exactly.
If you, I don't know if I should say too much about the commercial, way here, but if you promote this, in a right way, then people will come to you, Yeah.
I think that's the idea, is that right now it's this infinite growth situation. We have people reaching out to folks through places like Backstage magazine with videos every week, and it's reaching people all over the world. And so it's an infinite potential to sort of bring people into this. And that was the sort of, the door to Hollywood, the window to Hollywood. It is instantly you can have this experience, and you can watch the actors who do work in person, but we wouldn't be able to work with them, like Eugene, because he's in London, and now we can work with him. So we'd have all these incredible people, writers, directors, producers, actors. They'd come back and forth. We always worked with people privately via Zoom, but now they come back and forth into the in-person classes, and now they have an open door in a second to be a part of the class and get the same level of work. So it's exciting. It's like an infinite potential. And I'm only hoping that it's going to be an exciting prospect for folks in Japan to be able to just open the door, open the window, and there you are, and without losing anything. Honestly, yes, there's some fun things about being in person, but you can't. Everybody can't be there, and now everybody can be there to watch.
Mm-hmm. It's a great opportunity
for everybody.
Exactly. So we're super excited.
So thank you, Ko.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then if there's anything you want to publicize at this point, it's kind of hard to. But...
Yeah, if you're, if you let me, I will do that then.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be a pleasure.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, again, there's an online cinema going on. If you could check out the website, 11arts.net. 11 spelled
11arts.net.
Spelled out ELEVEN, right?
Yeah, ENNARTS.net. 11arts.net. And then you'll find all those information, and you can check it out. Yeah.
Great.
Stuff. Great.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. No, thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
I'd like to come to your show again.
Oh, anytime. Yeah.
Everybody's gonna start calling it a show now.
It feels like a show because
I know, right? That actually
feels like
great. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun because the more we go crazy. I mean, we go down this sort of rabbit hole of it, and it's insane. The more people are willing to, let go, the crazier it is. And you're welcome back. Just let us know when you'd like to come. Let me know. Let Eugene know. And you're welcome back in. Yeah, for sure.